Hello there, friends. Today we're diving into Throne and Liberty, an ambitious MMORPG that's been in development for over a decade. Originally announced as Lineage Eternal back in 2011, this game has gone through multiple iterations and even a complete rebranding. Developed by NCSoft, the studio behind popular titles like Guild Wars and Blade and Soul, Throne and Liberty aims to shake up the MMO genre. In this video, we'll unravel the complex story of Throne and Liberty, exploring its characters, conflicts, and the mysteries that drive its plot. So, when you are ready, grab a cookie and hot chocolate, sit back, and let's dive into the world of Silesium. Let's begin with the backstory of Throne and Liberty. The saga begins with the shattering of the Star of Sileveth, a celestial artifact of immense power that contains the goddess of destruction. This cosmic jewelry malfunction scattered star fragments across the world of Silesium, imbuing certain individuals with extraordinary abilities. These lucky, or unlucky, depending on your perspective, few became known as the Star Children. As the Star Children emerged, so did the political ambitions of Revel Lupius. He is the mysterious ultimate head honcho. Every enemy within the Arkeum Legion works under him. Backed by the formidable Arkeum Legions, Revel seized control of Silesium's throne. This hostile takeover kicked off a brutal war, reshaping the political landscape of the world. But not everyone was thrilled with Reveal's new management style. Da Vinci Aaron, deciding that tyranny wasn't his cup of tea, formed the Allied Resistance Forces. Gathering support from various guild leaders, Da Vinci set out to challenge the Arkeum Legion's control. Meanwhile, the wizard Jan Junith took it upon himself to protect the Star Children. Recognizing the potential for these powered individuals to be exploited as weapons, Jan worked to shield them from the control of both the Arkeum Legions and the Resistance. This is where we meet Khazar, the ambitious commander of the Arkeum Legions. Unlike some who might have noble intentions, Khazar's pursuit of the Star Fragments was purely self-serving. He saw in these celestial shards the key to absolute power and the fulfillment of his grand ambitions. In a move that would have far-reaching consequences, Khazar dispatched the witch Calanthea to the island where many Star Children had found refuge. The result was catastrophic. The island was destroyed in the ensuing conflict. Amidst the chaos of Calanthea's attack, Clay Carter, a member of the Resistance, managed to evacuate the Star Children from the doomed island. This event scattered the Star Children further across Silesium, intensifying the race to find and control them. As time passed, the Star Children grew into their powers. Many of them, motivated by the attack on their sanctuary, chose to align themselves with the Resistance. They became apprentice soldiers, training to use their unique abilities in the fight against the Arkeum Legions. The Resistance established a new base on Wisp Island, which became a training ground for the Star Children. Here, they honed their abilities and prepared for the inevitable confrontation with the Arkeum Legions. As tensions reached a boiling point, both sides geared up for a major conflict. The Star Children, now trained and ready to enter the fray, prepared to leave Wisp Island for Loslan, a significant location in Silesium. It's at this crucial juncture, with Silesium teetering on the brink of all-out war, that the stage is set for the events of Throne and Liberty to unfold. Alright, with that backdrop, let's now cover the story of Throne and Liberty. Keep in mind that the narrative may vary slightly depending on your character choices and how you play through the game. Let's start with the prologue. In a dream, we approach a ruined temple and encounter a wizard. Our hero fights this wizard, but something mysterious happens. The wizard reveals their true identity. It is Calanthea. She captures us and tries to drain us of our power. Then comes Jan Junith, a magic school dropout who joined the Resistance. He's the one that sacrificed himself years ago to save the children from Calanthea. Calanthea tries to blast our hero once again, but Jan intercepts and sacrifices himself for us.
Hurry up and run! Your Star Fragment is...
And now we are face to face with Calanthea and Khazar. As a Star Child, we wield immense power that dark forces are after. This strength within us is overwhelming, requiring careful control to prevent darkness from taking hold. These are skills we will have to learn over time. Our hero awakens from the dream to find Benny, a fellow Resistance member guarding military supplies. With an attack on Whisperian looming, supplies need distribution. But Benny's injured arm leaves him unable to help.
Whoa, are you alright? Did you have that nightmare again? Oh right, Lottie just left to go to Moonshade Town. You should follow her.
Thankfully, our hero is in tip-top condition, so we team up with Lottie, a skilled magic engineer and resistance instructor. Together, we tackle a supply run. Time is of the essence. The Arkeum portal is opening, heralding an imminent invasion. We venture across the land until we discover the Mark of Whisperian. Our inner power ignites, propelling our hero into a new world. Here, we encounter Whispering Amatoi, known as Helpy, who's been eagerly awaiting our arrival. Clay, a wizard aiding star children, recognizes our Star Fragment power, summoned through the Whisperian portal. We are still new to this whole Star Child abilities thing, so Clay shows us our first fly ability, Glide Morph, enabling us to navigate challenging terrain. The invasion commences with orcs firing turrets at Whisperian. Our hero steals fire dust and chucks it at the turrets so they will explode. We are then confronted by King Verda and engage in an intense battle with him. We are knocked down, but Clay shows off his powers and holds King Verda back while we get back on our feet. Clay discovers that its weakness are the eyes, so without hesitation, we throw an axe straight at them. The effort to defeat King Verda exhausts our protagonist. We black out and have a flashback that brings back some deep memories of the war when our hero was a child. We realize that Clay is the one who saved our hero the day Yan sacrificed himself for us.
Children, this way!
We regain consciousness to find Benny and Helpy hovering anxiously. They're concerned about our injuries, but amazed by our power. With the dust settled, it is now time to meet Clay's friend, Martinet. She is a researcher for Mauve Essence and will hopefully be able to help us with our power. And with that, we are ready to truly start our mission. Chapter 1 begins with urgency as we learn that we need to find Martinet before our mana explodes again. The village we're in is under some kind of protection, and there's suspicion around outsiders like ourselves seeking Martinet. It's clear that the Arkeum Legion is up to no good, and they're after Martinet, so she has had to go into witness protection. Thankfully, Clay gave us a token that the villagers recognize so they know we are on their side. We need to uncover the passcode in order to meet with Martinet, though. After asking everyone around town about a red flower, which is code for "we are looking for Martinet," we receive the real passcode. It is the Light Fragment Whispers. This gives us entry into the infirmary that Martinet is hiding in, and we finally meet her. Martinet is a healer, and she's been working on a potion to help her sister, who has the same symptoms as us, mana overload.
But I just used my last batch of ingredients, and unfortunately, I must stay here for the time being.
Martinet needs some ingredients for her potion, including the ominously named rancid powder. We're sent on a fetch quest to gather these materials at the Golden Rye Pastures, because what's an RPG without a good old-fashioned scavenger hunt? After gathering the ingredients, we return to Martinet, who whips up a calming potion for us. We chug a whole beaker full of this purple magic. Apparently, it's even more effective than expected. Martinet then sends us on another errand to deliver a potion to her sister. Why did Martinet give us so much more potion than to her sister? Are we that much more dysfunctional? But first, we must find her friend, Mina, in Windhill Shores because her sister's whereabouts are unknown. It seems her sister is in hiding too because Zeroth, the leader of Luslan's Arkeum unit and one of Khazar's top commanders, is after her Star Fragment power. Our newfound stability comes with a warning. Our power from the Star Fragment could reveal itself at any moment. It's more than just suppressing it so we don't go crazy. It needs to be hidden from the Arkeum. As we continue our adventure, we learn about a hideout belonging to someone named Adriana. She has a Star Fragment as well and has been living in a lighthouse. After some searching, we find the lighthouse. But instead of a nice, calm hideout, it is overrun with Arkeum Legion soldiers. They were hoping to catch Adriana and her power, but she is nowhere to be found.
That one must have taken Adriana away!
They notice our mana revealing itself and immediately try to draw out our power for themselves. But what do you know? Our helpy friend interferes with the transfer and a fight ensues.
You dare interfere with our plans?
Hand over the Star Fragment!
After defeating them, we are left with the words of the Arkeum, warning us that we cannot run from Khazar forever. We learn that Adriana left her hideout because she knew it was compromised. The enemy was close to getting her, and she knew the only way to protect Martinet and her sister was to disappear herself. Because both Adriana and Martinet's sister's hideouts are compromised, Martinet sets out to find her sister and help keep her safe. For now, Mina has taken over the infirmary, but she's afraid that the Arkeum will discover the infirmary. Toward the end of Chapter 1, we discover an infinity wheel in Adriana's hideout, which is a way for our hero to see a vision of the past. We see a haunting vision that reveals the origins of a cursed rain plaguing Laslan. We see Adriana being forced by Arkeum minions to perform a rain summoning ritual. But things go horribly wrong when the Arkeum swaps certain materials without her knowledge, resulting in a twisted downpour that transforms creatures into violent monsters. Shocked by the devastation she's unwittingly caused, she unleashes the dormant power of her Star Fragment when the Arkeum minions try to dispose of her. In a flash, the minions are obliterated. As the vision draws to a close, we witness the tragic aftermath. Racked with guilt over the cursed rain, Adriana begins to physically transform. Her body slowly disfigures, a cruel reflection of the monstrous act she was forced to commit.
Arkeum forces captured Martinet, the younger of two twin sisters. By keeping her hostage, they forced the shaman Adriana, who wielded the power of a Star Fragment, to call forth the rains. As the ritual began, rain cascaded from the sky, accompanied by crashes of thunder. But the Arkeum forces had altered the ritual. Their tampering caused a cursed rain to fall on Laslan. Wherever the rain fell, creatures transformed into violent monsters that attacked people and devastated the farmland. Adriana was shocked to witness what she had done. When the Arkeum forces turned on the sisters, meaning to kill them now that they had served their purpose. The awe-inspiring power of the Star Fragment that lay dormant within Adriana flooded out, and their enemies were annihilated in an instant. In the aftermath, Adriana was beset by unspeakable disfigurations, swallowed by guilt over her role in causing the cursed rain.
We continue our journey to Chapter 2, where we find ourselves knee-deep in a world of guilds, wolves, and fishing bait. Anyways, as we walk through town, we feel compelled to help a young girl named Soiri obtain a keepsake from a hunting competition. We have a soft spot for children, just like those in the Resistance, it seems. She is distraught about the keepsake because she wants to give it as an offering to Henry, the Lord's son. She hopes to place it at his grave for the anniversary of his death. Henry saved her from Iskale, the gray-fanged wolf. Iskale possessed mauve essence, which turned him savage and almost killed Soari, along with the other children. We learn that to honor Henry's bravery and sacrifice, the people of Castleton now hold an annual wolf hunting contest. This event serves as a way for the community to remember Henry's heroic actions and a fun way to train others to fight to avoid an incident like this from happening again. During our journey to find a keepsake, our hero meets Henry's uncle, Chris. Chris is in charge of the wolf hunting contest, which only makes sense given his disdain for wolves like the one that killed his nephew. He is wary of star children, so it's a good thing that our powers are suppressed right now. He also has a fear that people that hold that power could turn evil.
Lately, I've been seeing more Starborn in the village. I have to admit, they make me a bit uneasy. With such strange powers, any one of them has the potential to turn out just like Iskale. I don't like to think about it.
After obtaining a keepsake, our hero offers it to Soari, and we visit the site of Henry's grave. At the tomb, our powers flare up, and we are transported through time in a vision. Hamel's soul, the sacred deer of the Black Howl Plains that died alongside Henry, guides us through our nightmare in time. And there are a bunch of wolves around the grave that we need to fight. We then discover a group of children who are hiding from the wolves, so we escort them with a swordsman to a safe location. The swordsman is actually Henry, and one of the children is Siori. It seems we have gone back in time to the moment that Henry sacrificed himself. Maybe we can rewrite their story. Henry feels that it is his destiny to save the children from Iskale because he saw this moment in a dream.
Lately, I've been having the same mysterious dream. In that dream, I'm attacked, just like today. And in the end, I face Iskale alone at the Abbey. In my dream, only I know how to defeat Iskale. And after that battle, an age of peace returns to Castleton. Now I understand the meaning of the dream Hamel sent me. I know what I have to do. I'm not sure why Hamel chose me. I just know that it is my duty.
We listen to his demands and get the children back home to safety. Poor Henry is alone again, just like he was 10 years ago. Our hero is ready to return to help Henry, but right before we can, boom, we are snapped out of this nightmare. Hamel tells our hero that we have the heart of Henry and the power of Iskale, which is the best combination in my opinion. Hamel's soul helps us embody our true power and sets off on our adventure.
Now, wake up from the nightmare and choose your own path. This little one is ready too.
As we come back to reality, we reflect on what the purpose of seeing this vision of Henry truly means. While we couldn't rewrite Henry's story, maybe if we are able to harness the astral force, we can create new paths. Now that our hero has fully embraced the power of the Star Fragment, there is not much more our dear friend Helpy can do for us. Helpy is off to greater things now and bids us farewell. They've been with us since the beginning, so it's a bittersweet goodbye. Towards the end of Chapter 2, we discover another Infinity Wheel. This time it is at the Abbey by Henry's grave. This vision reveals the tragic tale of Henry and Iskale. We witness the return of Iskale, leading a pack of ravenous wolves to attack. In the face of terror, Henry, inspired by the courage of Hamel the Sacred Deer, steps up to lead his people to safety. The vision intensifies as we see Henry locked in desperate combat with the wolf pack. In a moment of clarity, he recalls Iskale's weakness, shown to him in a dream. With quick thinking, he hurls his torch at bottles of lamp oil in the storeroom, igniting a series of fiery explosions that shake the very ground. Henry and Iskale are engulfed in flames, seemingly disappearing. When the dust settles, all that remains are bones and ashes of Henry and the wolves. The people of Castleton, mourning their loss, now hold an annual wolf hunting contest to honor the courage and sacrifice of their young hero.
Hamel, the sacred deer of the Black Howl Plains, met his demise, and his death heralded Iskale's return. Those who fled from the wolves found themselves isolated in the Abbey. Iskale, with the power of the Star Fragment and backed by a pack of ravenous wolves, set upon them. While the people cowered in terror, Henry rose to the occasion. He had always admired Hamel's courage, and he took heart from it now, urging the others to escape. As Henry desperately battled against the wolves, Iskale rushed towards him. Henry knew of Iskale's weak point. Hamel had come to him in a dream, showing him what he needed to know, and so Henry hurled his torch at the bottles of lamp oil in the storeroom. The oil ignited instantly, and with each fiery explosion, the very ground beneath their feet trembled. Henry was caught in the flames, along with Iskale. All that remained when the others returned to the Abbey were the bones and ashes of Henry and the wolves. Now the people of Castleton hold a wolf hunting contest every year to honor the courage and sacrifice of the young hero.
In Chapter 3, our adventure takes us into a world of contracts, contaminated rain, and goblins. We begin this chapter by encountering a resistance soldier who's impressed with our previous heroics. He introduces us to the concept of contracts, which are time-sensitive missions that typically require a resistance member to undertake. But we're given the opportunity to try our hand at these tasks. We go to Starlight Observatory ruins, which the mages of Venelux had created to watch the stars. But the Arkeum destroyed it, and now there are just ruins left and is used as a base. Here, we get news from a goblin named Ruby that an Urstella goblin horde is going to attack soon, but the watch captain doesn't believe this is true.
There's going to be a war. We're in big trouble.
So, we need to collect evidence to prove that the town is in danger so that the captain will take the proper precautions to keep everyone safe. We find a coded message from the goblins, which says, "Possessing a black heart, front paws to the spider." Thankfully, the watch captain speaks Goblin, and he tells us that this means that the Arkeum and goblins have teamed up and are getting ready to raid Carmine Forest. Obviously. The watch captain is familiar with their antics because this message was also sent about 10 years ago before a massacre. During that fight, only 4 of the patrol members survived. Our hero updates Ruby about the watch captain deciphering the code and his quick thinking to take action. But Ruby warns us that this is likely a setup because the goblins always write their codes in 3 sentences. Well, that's awkward, as we only saw 2. It seems the last sentence has been torn off. The watch captain believes that the last sentence might give us details about a ritual that the goblins perform before they have a big battle. And during this ritual, the head goblins typically share their plan with the goblin community. So we set out to find the last sentence to the code. During our journey, we find a girl named Ariella. She has been researching the Urstella Fields, monument stones, and the local goblins. She even has experience turning herself into a goblin in order to infiltrate the community. But her attempts to go undetected while she appears to be a goblin on the outside have been unsuccessful. Despite her failed attempts, however, she suggests we allow her to turn us into a goblin to find out about their ritual. She unconvincingly tells us that we would succeed because we are an expert.
Oh, infiltration isn't one of my strong suits. Better if I send an expert like you to find out what the goblin's objective is. Good luck.
With hesitancy, our hero allows Ariella to transform us into a goblin. We infiltrate their bonfire and try to act as naturally as you'd expect.
This is our time! A celebration of goblins! By goblins! For goblins! Now, let's begin! Me first!
After an awkward dance party, the goblins leave and our hero retrieves the message's last sentence from the fire pit. This sentence reads, "Front paws to the spider and tails towards the star." Apparently our friend Ruby was right. This is a setup. The goblins want to lure the resistance to the forest so they can overtake the observatory ruins. There is also an emblem at the bottom of the document that belongs to Zeroth, who is in command of the Arkeum in the Laslan region. This information is vital, and we share it with the captain. With this intel, the patrol members stand firm at their posts at the observatory ruins as the goblins approach. Thankfully, the warning was just enough to prepare for the fight in order to win. Ariella meets up with us after the fight and congratulates us on the victory. She says she wishes she could have helped, but she's too clumsy. More like lazy, if you ask me.
It's okay. I wanted to help, but I'm way too clumsy to do something like this. No matter how much I practice, I can't get the moves right.
She moves on quickly anyways, as she is now focused on getting her grubby hands on some mystic globes. As the chapter ends, we enter a vision through another infinity wheel. It unveils the tragic history of the observatory. We are taken back about 10 years when Arkeum Legion craftsmen secretly approached the resistance soldiers stationed there, tempting them with promises of great rewards. Struck by famine, all but 3 of the guards succumb to temptation and abandon their posts. With the guards gone, an Arkeum battle platoon prepares to strike. Watch Captain Henson orders the remaining guards to flee. We see Raffaello, one of the guards, reluctantly escape into the woods. The 2 guards who stay behind meet horrible deaths, while Henson, despite losing an eye, rises time and again to face the endless waves of enemies. Just as everything seems lost, however, Raffaello returns with reinforcements, driving the enemies back. Though Henson and his soldiers save many lives, he blames himself for the deaths of his men and resigns as watch captain. The scene ends on a bittersweet note, revealing that 10 years later, Henson still quietly defends the front lines, admired and respected by the local resistance.
10 years ago, craftsmen in the employ of the Arkeum Legion secretly visited the resistance soldiers at the observatory, offering a huge reward for aid in stealing gems from the goblins. The soldiers, who were suffering through a famine, were overwhelmed with temptation. All but 3 of them left the camp. While the guards were away, the waiting Arkeum battle platoon readied for the attack. Watch Captain Henson understood the situation all too well. He told the 3 remaining guards to flee, and one of them, Raffaello, escaped into the woods with his head hung low. Battling against an endless sea of enemies, the 2 remaining guards died horrible deaths. Henson, who lost an eye, rose again each time he fell, sword held high. Just as Henson, gravely wounded, neared his own death, Raffaello returned. He had not fled at all, but instead brought reinforcements who drove back the enemy forces. Although the bravery of Henson and his men saved many lives, he blamed himself for the death of the soldiers and resigned as watch captain. 10 years later, he still quietly defends the front lines and is admired and respected by the local resistance forces.
In Chapter 4, we find ourselves embroiled in a missing child case with a side of ancient magical artifacts. We meet 3 individuals from the Resistance who are known as the Terrific Trio: Sophia, the charming and agile hunter; Robert, described as Robert the Terrific, and who is apparently a skilled fighter; and Rutain, described as a gentle and kind wizard. Sophia and Rutain are siblings who fled from Revil Lupius's army during a war that swept across Laslan. They were in a similar situation as our hero when they were children, almost being taken for their power, but were saved by a man named Da Vinci Aaron. Ultimately, they lost their way in the Spider Forest, setting the stage for their future roles in the Resistance. We then meet Rutain in Stoneguard, the largest town in the area. Rutain informs us about a missing child named Lucille who has vanished from the village. The Resistance has launched a search, but even after a day, they found no trace of her. We're asked to expand the search area to the nesting grounds and Carmine Forest.
Recently, a child named Lucille went missing from the village. A monster known as Morokai lives in this Carmine Forest.
As we investigate, we discover hidden devices and piles of spider eggs throughout the forest. These devices seem to be monitoring equipment, and we're tasked with recovering them while avoiding monster damage. Unfortunately, these devices don't have any information about the disappearance, so we've just been wasting our time, really. Our search takes an unexpected turn when we find crumpled orders suggesting that Lucille wasn't missing, but kidnapped. The plot thickens as we learn that the Arkeum Legion might be responsible for a series of kidnappings. Our hero must follow Robert, the expert fighter, into the dangerous Arkeum domain through the Arkeum magic circle. Inside, we help fight off soldiers and try not to make Robert feel too bad that he couldn't handle them alone. It's okay, little buddy. After the Arkeum soldiers are defeated, we explore further into Zoroth's secret base and meet up with the Trio gang and the leader of the Laslan allied resistance forces, Da Vinci.
than just a hideout. This is Zeroff's secret base.
Maybe we can find the one behind the kidnapping.
Everyone is very dedicated to finding the missing girl, and we all push further into the enemy base. There, the group is a unified front and fights hordes of Arkeum soldiers. Finally, after clearing the base, we discover cages with children inside. Our hero frees them from their prison, and Sophia takes them to safety. Da Vinci is determined to stop the head honchos and takes us along to find Zoroth. We explore the base together until we finally reach him, at last. Together, we both fight Zoroth, a moment that has been a long time coming.
There's no place for the likes of you in life. I'll cut you down! Death is the only lot. Now, this is our chance! Glory to Khazar!
With our hero's power and Da Vinci's abilities, we are able to take down Zoroth once and for all. Now we are one step closer to stopping Khazar, the big dog. After showing off our true power, Da Vinci invites us to officially join the Resistance. Our hero accepts his compliments and this role with honor, and Da Vinci inaugurates us by giving us his golden brooch. It's time to start our journey with more purpose and dedication than ever before.
I look forward to seeing you in action.
Once we are out of the Arkeum base, we meet with Sophia, and she shares details about the abduction operation documents. Apparently, the documents have Calanthia's name on them. But we know that Calanthia is the witch that killed our child savior, Jan, and she is also believed to be dead. So why is her name written all over the Arkeum plot to take the children? As the chapter comes to a close, we enter a vision through another infinity wheel. This one reveals the origins of some key characters in our story. We see Sophia and Rutain, siblings orphaned by war, fleeing across Lazlan as Revil Lupius's army sweeps through. Their desperate escape leads them into the treacherous spider forest, where they become hopelessly lost. The vision takes a turn as we watch their childhood friend Robert follow their trail into a deep cave. There, he discovers the siblings trapped in a giant spider web by a creature, Morokai. Despite his efforts to free them, all three end up captured by the massive arachnid. Just when all seems hopeless, we witness a dramatic rescue. Captain Da Vinci, along with resistance soldiers, bursts onto the scene. They have tracked Morokai and stumbled upon the children's trail. This timely intervention not only saves the young trio, but plants the seeds of heroism in their minds. 10 years later, we see how that experience has shaped the children. Sophia has become an ambitious warrior and charming hunter. Robert has grown into Robert the Terrific, and Rutain has developed into a gentle and kind wizard. Together, they're now known as the Terrific Trio of the Resistance, their childhood ordeal having forged them into the heroes they admired. It's an inspiring end to the chapter, showing how adversity can shape one's destiny.
As Revil Lupius's army swept across Lazlan, Sophia and Rutain, siblings whose parents had died in the war, fled for their lives and lost their way in the spider forest. Their childhood friend Rob searched for them, at last discovering them hanging in a spider web, deep in a cave. The three children struggled to undo the webs, but in the end, they were all captured by the owner of the cave, Morokai, who meant to feed them to his spiders. At the very moment they thought it was all over, they heard the clash of weapons outside the cave. Rutain's hero, Captain Da Vinci, had been tracking Morokai when he found the trail left by the children. Backed by resistance soldiers, he rushed to the rescue. The hand that reached out to them in that time of despair planted dreams of heroism in the children's minds, and they resolved to become just like Da Vinci, aiding those in need. 10 years later, the strong and ambitious warrior Sophia, the charming and agile hunter Robert, and the gentle and kind wizard Rutain became known as the terrific trio of the Resistance.
We are now on to Chapter 5, where our adventure takes a sharp turn into the realm of mysterious illnesses and vampire slaying. We begin this chapter in search of a character named Leonardus, who's reportedly busy tending to patients on the outskirts of town. Apparently, there is an epidemic going around town that requires all those ill to remain on the outskirts to quarantine. We arrive at Vienta Village Plaza, where we encounter Leonardus himself. He's initially dismissive, being quite busy with his patients and all, but our delivery of a letter from a girl named Romea catches his attention. Before we leave, our hero checks on some patients, and it seems all of them have been hearing weird noises, and they attribute it to a green medication that Leonardus has prescribed to them. We bring this to his attention, and he acts very odd, almost sinister, then kicks us out of the clinic.
Green medicine? What are you talking about? Cut the crap and get out!
As we dig deeper, we visit a station where the clothes of the sick are being burned in order to contain the illness. Here we talk to our friend Sophia. We tell her about the green medication, and it's at this point she realizes something. The epidemic, she thinks, is actually fake. This revelation turns our medical mystery into something far more sinister. We decide to head back to the clinic at night when Leonardus is gone for the day to see what is really going on. Right when our hero opens the doors, though, we are attacked by his assistant. Well, a zombie version of the assistant. Once we defeat him, we continue through the clinic to get to the bottom of this mystery. No one else is in the clinic, and the patients are all gone. Next, our hero stumbles upon Leonardus's journal, and it reveals his real plan. Part of his plan is for him to procure 31 additional sacrifices for a ritual. This ritual will allow him to drain their blood for himself, and the bodies that remain will turn into ghouls that will serve him forever. And what are the chances? This blood ritual is happening tonight. We leave and rush to tell Sophia about this discovery. She is at a wine cellar near Vienta Vineyard, but before we can enter, our hero smells blood and it is eerily quiet inside. When we open the doors, we witness a gruesome scene. Leonardus is on the ground in a pool of blood hovering over someone. He notices our arrival and rushes off. Underneath him, lying on the ground, is poor Sophia. Rutain arrives quickly, noting strange injuries on Sophia's neck.
I've tried to stop that.
It seems a vampire's work is afoot. This cellar is where the blood ritual was held, and if we don't act quickly, Sophia will turn into a ghoul. Our only option is to kill the vampire that made her this way, so that she can be cured. So, we need to track down something called the Guardian's Pledge, which once belonged to a vampire slayer and is the only way to take down a vampire. Our hero rushes off the Vanguard Castle to meet up with Jacques Hander, who we believe has the Guardian's Pledge. Jacques is a leader of the Resistance, and he saved the people of Vanguard from an Arkeum ally dictator back in the day. When we reach him, we learn that Jacques does in fact have the pledge, and gives it to us since we have shown much dedication and perseverance. That's nice.
Once you activate the Guardian's pledge, its Guardian will inhabit your body. But that alone is not enough. The memories of a Guardian are called pledge loops. The more pledge loops you can find, the stronger the Guardian will become.
The pledge will allow a Guardian to inhabit our hero's body, and we will also receive the memories of the vampire slayer, Ezekiel. We then set off to obtain the memories by collecting pledge loops from a temple. While we traverse the temple and gather the loops, we are ambushed by Leonardus. But joke's on him because we have just completed the Guardian's Pledge, so Ezekiel's power embodies us, and we now fight as the famous vampire slayer. An epic battle ensues with Leonardus and our hero as Ezekiel, where we come out triumphant.
So, it's you.
Leonardus! That's for me, Leonardus! This is for Scarla!
The defeat of Leonardus is not just for us, but also for Ezekiel, as the two have quite a history. Leonardus killed Ezekiel's lover and teacher Scarla. This led Ezekiel to become a vampire slayer and seek revenge. In a cosmic way, Ezekiel personally accomplished what he set out to do all those years ago. As Chapter 5 concludes, we enter an infinity wheel in the temple. The vision opens with Ezekiel being bitten by a vampire, only to be saved by Scarla, a monster hunter. Despite this rescue, we see Ezekiel's despair at being turned into a half-vampire. Scarla trains Ezekiel to be the best vampire slayer out there. Later, Leonardus, the powerful vampire lord, brutally kills Scarla. We witness Ezekiel's anguish as he screams in fury, unable to prevent this terrible act. The vision then fast-forwards several decades, showing Ezekiel's transformation into a legendary vampire slayer. He tracks down Leonardus and engages in a fight to the death to avenge his lover. But Leonardus' strength proves too much for him to overcome. In a climactic moment with Ezekiel at death's door, he uses the last of his strength to draw a magic circle with his own blood. He places a guardian's pledge with his soul infused in the center and completes a pledge spell. This desperate act transforms Ezekiel into a guardian, a protector of people from vampires. The vision ends on an uplifting note, with Ezekiel's redemption complete as he takes on his new role as a supernatural defender of humanity.
While being bitten by a vampire, Ezekiel was saved by Scarla, the monster hunter. Despite now becoming a half-vampire, Scarla trained him to become a vampire hunter. Scarla would later be killed by Baron Leonardus, a powerful vampire lord. Ezekiel vowed to avenge her. Over the course of decades, Ezekiel became a legendary vampire slayer. He found Leonardus and began a fight to the death. But Leonardus was too strong. At death's door, Ezekiel used the last of his strength to draw a magic circle with blood and placed a guardian's pledge in its center. With his soul now infused in the pledge, Ezekiel became a guardian, protecting others from vampires.
This brings us to Chapter 6, where our adventure takes a turn into the world of secret messages and magical stones. This chapter is set in the Monolith Wasteland's desert, which wasn't always a desert, however. One day, a cursed rain fell and contaminated the whole area. To solve this and avoid mutations, a group of wizards cut off the water supply with giant monoliths, causing this area to become a desert. Our hero's journey here starts with a covert exchange of information. Under the guise of discussing a flower to match an outfit, we receive a secret message about the Arkeum Legion's desperate search for a mana stone known as the Golem's Heart. As we explore, we encounter various challenges and quests. One involves a quest to find out the lyrics of a song. We meet a bard named Henderson who lost his memory when he hit his head during a resistance battle. He wrote a song about his time in the resistance and is convinced that he likely wrote about the Golem's Heart as well. But he can't remember exactly since he damaged his brain. What he does remember is his super fan Kavain, though, who he is sure has memorized all of his songs. Anyways, our hero tracks down Kavain, but unfortunately he is too heartbroken to be of much help right now. Turns out he's throwing himself a pity party because his lover left him.
That song! I was a regular at Henderson's shows. Went there a lot with the love of my life. It's okay. She left because I'm not good enough for her.
He believes that he is not good enough for her, but might win her back if he can give her a valuable gift. Since we are clearly the best matchmakers in town, we decide it's our job to gather the crafting materials needed to make the gift. Once we bring Kavain the materials, he is very grateful and shares with us the story of what happened to the lyrics to the song. Kavain loved the lyrics so much he wrote them on a scarf and wore it constantly. But one day while he was in the desert, wallowing in his heartbreak, bandits stole the scarf. So we set out to find them. After some searching, we find the Sandflame bandits in the desert and defeat them. It seems they don't have a care in the world and just steal from passerbyers. And they are always drunk, which makes them relentless. In any event, our hero retrieves the scarf and rushes to give it to Henderson, the bard. He tells us that the Golem's Heart is actually broken up in 3 fragments because it was too dangerous to leave whole. We're tasked with finding the fragments and fusing them together. Apparently, when the fragments are fused, the golem will rise. Henderson shares with us a clue from the lyrics. Let's fuse the heart fragments. 3, 2, 1. After some searching, we collect the fragments and take them to a chapel to synthesize them. Once the heart is fused back together, Sienna appears, a wizard from the Resistance. She is the one who broke the heart fragments and hid them.
I'm Sienna Parsons, a wizard from the Resistance. I heard about you. From headquarters. Oh. Such skill. You must be very strong to fight off all those Arkeum soldiers on your own.
Our protagonist's chest begins to glow when we get close to the golem heart. Sienna notices this and acknowledges that we hold power from a Star Fragment. She realizes that it's fate that brought us together, and we are the ones meant to fuse the heart back together. So she flashes her staff and transfers the power from the heart straight to us.
They say all power eventually finds its master. Here. This new power should come in handy. Your power will now react with the sealed golem's heart. Perhaps the power of the seal stone can be used in the Titan Reach ruins. This seems like fate. I hope you use your power justly.
Sienna was always worried the power of the heart would fall in the hands of the Arkeum, so she is pleased that our hero is able to hold the power. As soon as Sienna leaves, Arkeum soldiers and the golem awaken right before our eyes. Our hero is more equipped than ever for this battle, though. We transform into a golem and fight with all of its power. After a fierce battle, our hero comes out victorious and stronger. Before we head back, our hero retrieves a bag of memories from a golem corpse that Sienna requested we give to Henderson. We take this to Henderson and experience an endearing full circle moment with him. This bag brought back Henderson's memories and reminded him of the bard he once was before he had the head injury. He finally remembers the song about the golem heart and his adventures. Henderson is grateful for our help to bring back his memories. He can finally live out his life, singing and creating new songs of his adventures.
The foolish tyrant was blinded by his greed. Our strategy worked to give us what we need. Let us go on our way to get us the golem's heart. Even the sandstorms won't keep us from treasure. Nothing can stop us from mighty adventure. Pieces of the heart. 3, 2, 1! Golem will rise when the pieces are combined! Tear down the ramparts! Destruction to it all! Cheers of joy in the plaza will be heard around the world! Around the world!
The light in his eyes has returned and is here to stay. At the end of Chapter 6, we enter a vision through an infinity wheel. The vision reveals a tale of rebellion and clever deception. It opens with a glimpse of Fernan, the tyrannical lord of Stoneguard, who's been colluding with the Arkeum. We see the resistance strike back, raiding and seizing cargo from Fernan and the Arkeum army, distributing it among the oppressed people. The plot thickens as a girl and 2 dwarves arrive at Fernan's doorstep. She claims she can find the legendary heart of the ancient golem and build a giant golem to subdue the resistance. Despite initial doubts, Fernan is eventually convinced to fund her endeavor. We watch as the girl's company unravels the secret of a monolithic boulder, facing perilous adventures to acquire the stone. The giant golem is completed, and the girl convinces Fernan to perform a ritual that she claims will make him the eternal owner of the golem. In a surprising twist, however, when Fernan emerges from the ritual, the golem breaks down the gates, allowing the resistance to flood in and capture the castle. The girl's true identity is revealed as Sienna Parsons, a resistance member and genius engineer. Visitors to Vienta village can still hear the old adventure stories of Sienna and her comrade in arms, Henderson Harmon, being sung. It's a clever conclusion that highlights the lasting impact of rebellion and the power of a well-executed plan.
Fernan, the Lord of Stoneguard, who colluded with Arkeum, exploited the inhabitants and ruled over them with an iron fist. The Resistance raided and seized the Fernan Arkeum's army's cargo and distributed it among the people. One day, an extraordinary girl and 2 dwarves came to visit Fernan. The girl said that if she received funding, she would use it to find a legendary stone called the Heart of the Ancient Golem, build a giant golem, and subdue the resistance. Though originally filled with doubt, Vernon ended up giving her a substantial sum after watching her golem's performance. The girl's company unraveled the secret of the monolithic boulder. Along the way, a rock struck Henderson and rendered him unconscious. Although they were chased by Chernobog and braved many perilous adventures, in the end, they acquired the stone. After completing the giant golem, the girl made Vernon dance in a huge chest and chant a spell, explaining that it was a ritual that would bind him to the golem, making him its owner. Vernon emerged from the chest, and the giant golem broke down the gate. All at once, the resistance flooded in and captured the castle. The girl was revealed to be Sienna Parsons, a resistance member and genius engineer. Even now, when you visit the Enter village, you can still hear tales of her adventures sung by Sienna's comrade-in-arms, Henderson Harmon.
In Chapter 7, our adventure takes a sharp turn into the world of giant sandworms and desert politics. We begin this chapter in the northwest of Stonegard, where we encounter a massive worm. This sets the stage for our next challenge, dealing with the threat of Queen Belandiar, a sandworm that's been terrorizing the desert. We meet Glenn, a ghost who is overjoyed that we can see him. Glenn tells us about his daughter Marcia, who is determined to defeat the creature. The situation is dire enough that we're tasked with trying to persuade Marcia to reconsider her approach, as Glenn is worried sick about her. He lost his leg to the sandworm queen, and once infection set in, he died. Glenn's ghost has been waiting for over 10 years for someone to be able to see him. Our hero is the first one to see his ghostly form, and he couldn't be happier because now we can help interfere with his daughter's death wish. We hurry to the lair where the sandworm is located. When we arrive, we see a woman standing in a magic circle, and we can hear the queen sandworm approaching rapidly. And it is a bit more than our hero bargained for. This worm is not your average beast. She is the largest one yet, and more vicious than any we've seen so far. Our hero realizes we might be in over our heads, so we jump into the magic circle. And right before the sandworm can swallow us whole, we both teleport out of the lair. Back in the village, the woman that was in the magic circle introduces herself as Josephine. She is a wizard and is currently trying to study the queen's movements in hopes of gaining a better understanding of how to take her down. Despite Josephine being in the lair herself, she thinks we are totally crazy to dare enter the lair.
I am Josephine Croft. I discovered that the magic used by Soren Warnack correlates with Queen Belandir's mana.
In another part of town, we find Marcia. Our hero tries to explain the danger of fighting the sandworm, but she already knows the risk and has come up with a detailed plan of how to take down the enemy. She's just not going to listen to some random stranger like us. Marcia is determined to defeat the monstrous worm that has taken so many lives in her community.
I've never seen you before. What brings you here? So what you're saying is that Queen Belandir is a monster that can't be beaten, and I should give up and stop trying. I don't know why a complete stranger like you is so concerned for my safety.
Josephine shifts her focus to the technical aspects of dealing with the creature. Since we can't convince Marcia to step back, it seems we will have to join her in the fight. And what do you know? The sandworm is attracted to strong mana. So, to have an advantage over the sandworm, we must lure her right where we want her. Josephine tells us about the sandworm concentrated poison sac, which can be used for mana production. There's also magic amplification gear, and when combined with the poison sac, it can create a lure powerful enough to attract the queen. Also, just like our hero, the queen's power is derived from Star Fragments, so she's basically our evil twin. Turns out the sandworm queen was originally a small sandworm, but then an evil grand elder used a fragment of the star to turn her from an innocent sandworm into the monstrosity we have to deal with today. Josephine next helps us create a device to lure her. We use a pure elemental fusion stone, a magic schema, and other gathered materials to create it. The luring device can be controlled remotely, so once we are ready to fight, we can simply press the button and then mana will emit from it to attract the sandworm. With the device in hand, we head off to present our idea to Marcia before she gets herself in too deep with the sandworm. She tells us there is a sandworm suppression squad, a group of troops currently stationed at the sandworm hatchery to help us clear the path to the queen. So we head out to help eliminate the little sandworms before we can fight the queen. Our hero gets to work and clears out the lair. With no more mini worms in sight, we find the perfect spot out in the desert to set up the luring device. We put the device in the middle of crates full of explosives. Since humans can't survive the sandworm, keeping a distance is key. Marcia and the rest of the squad gets into position. This is it, the culmination of our work, and we only have one shot. Marcia cautiously but excitedly presses the button. Mana pulses out of the device, and within seconds, the queen barrels in from under the sand. It heads straight for the crates, and boom! Explosives and arrows go off in every direction. The creature is finally defeated, and everyone cheers.
Finally!
The community is now safe from the sandworm's wrath. The sandworm may not be dead, but is critically injured, and Marcia is positive they will be able to catch the queen next time. This is a victory on a personal level for her. Our hero has grown close to Marcia, so we tell her about her father's ghost. She is shocked that he has been around trying to protect her, and now hopes he can rest in peace since she has everything under control and is safe. Marcia sees a bright future for herself. She expresses a desire to rebuild her family home and reunite with her brother. As the chapter ends, we see a vision from the past through yet another infinity wheel. We witness an epic vision that showcases the might and terror of Queen Belandir, the formidable sandworm predator. The sandworm eats everything in sight, and no one has been able to even get close enough to scratch her, much less kill her. A mysterious group known as the Order of the Swan is hired by the Resistance to help gather sandworm poison sacs, a daring mission that quickly turns perilous. The soldiers collecting the sacs are suddenly sucked into the sand beneath their feet, and the sandworm queen swallows everyone in sight. Rowan, a member of the Order of the Swans, morphs into a majestic purple phoenix within the monster's massive form. This transformation allows Rowan to burst open the sandworm, helping the people consumed by the creature to escape. But the vision concludes with a chilling revelation. The queen's sandworm becomes even more relentless when she encounters a human with mauve essence.
Queen Belandir, the invincible, the all-consuming. No one had ever even so much as scratched the fearsome beast. Enter the Order of the Swan, a small-time guild, hired by the Resistance to help gather sandworm poison sacs. While the Resistance soldiers were mopping up the sandworms, they were suddenly dragged into the sand beneath their feet. One of the swans, Rowan, fell into the vortex. All at once, Queen Belandir reared up, writhing in pain. Rowan had morphed into a violet phoenix and burst free from Queen Belandir's carapace, freeing everyone trapped inside. To this day, the mere sight of a human touched with mauve essence is enough to violently enrage the mighty beast.
As we venture into Chapter 8, our hero's journey takes a turn into the realm of demonic mischief and magical mysteries. We begin this adventure by helping a fresh-faced recruit investigate the ominously named deserted storage. It's not long before we encounter Lucas, who's been trapped by a pesky group of imps pouring out of a rift. After we flex our heroic muscles and seal the rift using the Star Fragment, Lucas is suitably impressed, declaring us special.
You sealed it? But how? I knew you were special when I saw you fighting, but this is beyond my expectations. Thanks to you, no more imps will be seen on this site. He
sends our hero off to an abandoned tower to check out suspicious occurrences. On our way to the tower, we discover a corpse of a Shadowmancer and evidence of dark magic. We climb to the top of the tower and find an altar with the Shadowmancer's book sitting on top. After reading it, we realize this is a site for a ritual involving a sword and deer blood. The goal of the ritual that happens here is to summon a demon to consume the world. Our quest then takes a dark turn when we interact with the altar, where a vision of the past transports us. As we reach out for a mysterious sword, dark red energy flows towards a sinister entity that turns out to be a Shadowmancer. As we interact with various ritual items, more red energy flows to the Shadowmancer, and soon enough, the ritual manifests right in front of us. A deer appears with a sword in it, summoning a demonic entity.
How dare you bring uninvited guests! Our contract is hereby nullified! Suffer my wrath!
We then find ourselves playing messenger, spreading the word about the summoned demon we witnessed during the ritual to the locals. This leads us to hear about a wizard named Alea, who Da Vinci asked to help the village. Alea shares a quote from a poem regarding the demon's weakness. It states, "Burning the snake's tongue compels the demon to flee. The purple incense scent is more than heavenly." Unfortunately, she doesn't know what this means, so we must seek other help to decipher the quote.
Demonic beasts usually lose their minds whenever demons are near. According to the ancient tome, we see it as a high-class demon who can disguise himself as a human. Burning the snake's tongue compels the demon to flee. Adventurer, please talk to Grudron.
We venture off and approach a merchant named Grudron. He tells us that a snake's tongue means a fully bloomed cremosa, and when it's burned it creates a purple smoke, which will ward off demons. Problem is, the merchant has not been able to obtain a fully bloomed cremosa before. So, we accept the challenge and search for the rare item. At last we find it and bring it back to Grudron. He is overjoyed to finally see a fully bloomed cremosa and offers us a censer to help intensify the purple smoke fragrance. Now that we have the items to ward off a demon, finding the demon is going to be the tricky part. Alea believes that the demon has taken on a human form, so it could be anywhere undetected. I assume we shouldn't just start spraying incense in people's faces, but it seems like we don't have very many options. Our hero runs through town, putting the purple smoke in people's faces. Most people think the smell is relaxing, but when we finally meet back up with Lucas and test the purple smoke on him, he chokes and almost barfs all over us. Lucas makes a dash up the cliff to get away, but our hero follows after him. We follow a path and find a door. We enter it only to find Lucas standing in the middle of the room. He pleads with us to stop following him and is a bit freaked out by our stalking ways. Despite him basically being in tears, we throw more purple smoke at him. Lucas becomes enraged and reveals himself as a demon. Our hero fights him head-on with an audience of rats cheering us on.
Do not call me with that disgusting name. My name is Havras. I am the Demon of Knowledge. I was almost ready to go back to Diabolica, but you ruined everything!
The demon summons immortal hearts and gains strength throughout the battle. After a grueling battle, our hero defeats him. This demon was the Demon of Knowledge, which isn't the original demon from the ritual. We still need to take down the Demon of Deceit, the one that was summoned at the altar in the abandoned tower. We head back to talk with Alea about our partial victory. As we arrived at her post, she is not there anymore, but she left us a letter urging us to meet at a lab. Our hero teleports to the lab and finds Alea concerned about the Demon of Deceit. We are confused because we have been receiving conflicting information about the demons that are lurking everywhere. It's hard to trust anyone when literally anyone could be the demon. After Alea pleads her case for us to believe her regarding the demon hunting, she grows frustrated. Finally, she gives up and reveals her true form as the Demon of Deceit. I knew it. She is the one we have been looking for from the altar. And now that we have done her dirty work for her by getting rid of the Demon of Knowledge, she wants our Star Fragment.
Foolish human. Now that you're no longer of any use to us, I'll relieve you of that Star Fragment.
She attacks us, and we fight with all of our might. During the fight, the demon creates copies of herself to try and overwhelm our hero throughout the battle. Ultimately, however, we defeat her, ending the Demon of Deceit once and for all. As Chapter 8 comes to a close, we enter an infinity wheel in the abandoned hall where we defeated the demon. The vision reveals the dark origins of a demonic threat. It opens atop a tower where 6 Shadowmancers gather, who are jealous of their enemy's demonic covenant, so they create their own. They perform an ancient ritual to summon the demon Risieth. We watch as the Shadowmancers fall prey to Risieth's sweet words, leading to a brutal competition where they kill each other to become her covenant. The last Shadowmancer standing is transformed into a monster, unable to control the demonic power they've been gifted with. The Demon of Knowledge, their enemy's covenant, notices the situation. The scene takes an unexpected turn as we learn that Risieth, now bonded with her Covenantor, ventures into the overworld. There, the Demon of Knowledge, seeking to control the star fragments of the human world, ambushes her. The demon endures serious wounds and flees, disguising himself as a human. In a twist of fate, however, we see Risieth possess the body of Eleia, a Venilux wizard. Using this new form, he begins to collect the overworld star fragments, or with the ultimate goal of reviving the demon goddess Siliveth. The vision concludes with the ominous revelation that reviving Siliveth would fulfill a long-cherished desire, hinting at a grander, more sinister plan at play.
One stormy night, 6 Shadowmancers gathered atop a tower. Envious of Junobote's demonic covenant, they summoned their own demon. Risieth offered sweet words and whispered promises. They killed each other to win her favor. In the end, the last Shadowmancer standing became a monster, unable to control her power. This attracted the attention of Havrez. As holder of Junobote's covenant, he attacked Risieth to ensure control of all the star fragments in the mortal realm. Severely wounded, Havrez fled, disguising himself as a human. Risieth then proceeded with her master plan. To resurrect the demon goddess Siliveth, now possessing the body of Venilux wizard Eleia, Risieth has begun the hunt for star fragments.
As we step into Chapter 9, our journey takes an unexpected turn into the world of guild politics and orcish investigations. We kick off this adventure with an invitation to join a guild. It seems everyone wants a piece of our heroic pie, but they won't accept just anyone without an introduction. Arthur, a member of the Talon Guild, tells us that there's plenty of work to be done, and boy, they weren't kidding. Our first task involves investigating the mysterious Phonos orcs at the Watcher's Post. Arthur warns us to finish our snooping during the daytime, because apparently the festival fire makes things extra spicy at night.
My guild has been investigating these orcs. We've been asked to look into them due to the trouble caused by the Phonos orcs. I believe they're all related to the Festival of Fire. We've planted a device that measures fire energy in Phonos Basin. Could you recover it from that cave? Zarek was planning to go too, so you can rendezvous with him there.
Things get interesting when Arthur offers us a chance to try out a shape-shifting transformation spell that turns us into an orc. Yup, we're a looker. We use our newfound disguise to gather intel on the Phonos orcs and their chief priests. Along the way, we find out that the Festival of Fire is how the orcs gain their power. We share the information with Zarek, a member of the guild, and he presents us with a relic, which can be activated to cause an eclipse. The darkness will make the orcs think it is nighttime, which will hopefully make them start the festival early so we can infiltrate it. The eclipse also allows our hero to go invisible for super stealthy missions like this. We venture through the orcs' cave and fight through waves of orc soldiers. Our hero sees a horde of orcs run out of the cave to start the festival, just like we planned. The only orc left in the cave is the chief priest. It's time to fight. After an epic showdown, we take him down.
Who disturbs the sacred ceremony? You dare interrupt the Festival of Fire? Human!
Now that the chief priest has been defeated, the orcs will not be able to gain any more strength. We meet up with the guild and discuss our victory. Our heroic ears perk up when we hear that the Akidu orcs have captured our dear old friend Benny while he was investigating them. These baddies are apparently even more dangerous than the Phonos orcs. We're eager to mount a rescue, but our allies warn us to gather more information before rushing in. Patience may be a virtue, but it's certainly not our hero's strong suit. We find the Akitu orc camp, and now we need to take down the orcs who likely captured Benny. In order to do so, we chug a potion that turns us into a Mega Hulk orc. We think we are all big and bad now, ready to take down all the orcs. But we are totally wrong, as the orcs take us down and lock us in jail before we can even strike. So much for being a powerful star child. While the orcs growl and argue with each other, we make our great escape. Our hero sneaks through the camp and keeps a sharp eye out for Benny. After almost getting caught a few times, we finally stumble upon an orc locked in a cage. We realize he is Benny, but in a nasty orc body that horribly stinks. In order to change our forms back, we need to find local transformation flowers. This should transform us back into humans. But nope! We both transform into deer, then camels, then freaking oranges. After we roll around for a bit, we finally transform back to our human selves. It's time to fight through more orcs and get our poor Benny friend out of here. Our escape takes a serious turn as we uncover a contract between the Arkeum, Zarek, and Arthur. It seems the fake members of the Talon Guild have been up to no good, helping the Akitu orcs kidnap Phonos orcs and transform them into shadow orcs. Even worse, they've been deceiving Star Fragment bearers and handing them over to the Arkeum. Zarek reveals that if their plan worked, then we would have turned into a shadow orc for good. And we learn that Zarek and Arthur are actually members of the Arkeum Legion and infiltrated the Resistance. We fight them both in an intense battle to the death. Afterwards, we report our findings with concrete evidence to the Watchguard, who praise us for our exceptional sleuthing skills. This is really going to shake up the Resistance, since a guild was able to successfully be a mole for the Arkeum. As Chapter 9 draws to a close, we enter an infinity wheel and see a vision that delves into the complex history of the orc clans. We learn about the Phonos, a warrior clan, and the Kalturin, a hunter clan, both of which once followed the same chieftain. Things take a dark turn when Shaman Akitu ascends to the position of chieftain, using his dark magic abilities to win the election through unfair tactics. We watch as he transforms his own kind into shadow orcs, creating the fearsome Akitu clan. But his power is limited by the constraints of dark magic. The vision then jumps forward in time, introducing us to Khazar, a commander of the Arkeum Legion. Khazar approaches Tauren, the current chieftain of the Akitu clan, with a proposal. In exchange for the endless power of a Star Fragment, Tauren is to provide Khazar with a large legion of shadow orcs. The vision concludes on an ominous note, showing Tauren accepting this proposal. We see him continuing to create shadow orcs, now filled with an insatiable will to destroy.
The Phonos, a warrior clan, and the Kalturan, a hunter clan, both followed the same chieftain. However, when Shaman Akitu became the chieftain due to his remarkable talent with dark magic, some orcs protested, claiming he succeeded in the election ritual by using unfair tactics. Akitu responded by creating his own clan, by transforming his own kind into vicious shadow orcs, but couldn't expand his power due to the limits of dark magic. In a later age, Khazar of the Arkeum Legion approached Tauren, the latest chief of the Akitu clan. He demanded a legion of shadow orcs in return for the endless power of a Star Fragment. Tauren accepted. To this day, he continues to create new shadow orcs to terrorize the world.
We are now on to the final chapter of Throne and Liberty, Chapter 10. Here, our hero finds themselves in a world where Lycans howl at the moon, mysterious smoke kidnaps people, and magical communication devices are all the rage. We begin our adventure in a village suffering from Lycan attacks. Our hero is tasked with finding a man named Hardin, but the Lycan's full moon spell is making things difficult. We gain the ability to memorize the Lycan's positions, and we learn about a shadow wolf with star power. It seems even wolves can get jealous of the moon's beauty. Our search for Hardin takes us into the Lycans Hall. We run into our friend Clay, and together we find Hardin lying on the ground unconscious. We're sent to meet the guild at the Kanina village guild base, and our allies are ready to mobilize their forces. Everyone agrees that the Lycans are the culprit for all the missing guild members. We risk our life to obtain ingredients to create a concoction that will wake up Hardin. Clay does a bit of magic, and suddenly Hardin wakes up to tell us a tale of his time in the Lycans Hall. Turns out he had been helping the Resistance soldiers when he encountered a weird noise. Then dark smoke started consuming the room. He tells us about James, another character who was apparently also taken by the dark smoke. Hardin does not believe the Lycans are responsible for the disappearances, though. After Hardin goes through his trauma moment, he passes back out again.
The black smoke. The smoke. The smoke even took me.
Hardin! Hardin! Oh no. He's unconscious again. Okay, I don't think this was the Lycans doing. If what Hardin said was right, I believe a very sophisticated magic was used in this foul play.
Afterwards, Clay gives us a prototype magic communication device to help us investigate the situation. It's basically a fancy walkie-talkie. Our investigation then leads us to traces of missing Resistance members. We encounter black smoke, and our Star Fragment power is drawn to the darkness. But our fancy new magical communicator comes in handy when Clay yells through it to snap us back to reality. The plot deepens as we learn about a connection between black smoke, nightmares, and the Star of Siliveth. We learn that the black smoke is a gateway to a nightmare, and the missing members didn't get sucked in. Rather, they followed the mauve essence into the darkness. We head back to bring supplies to Clay and update him in person about our experience. While in the Pure Light Tower library with him, the door is suddenly blasted down. Then it's like the good old days, as our hero, Clay, and Sophia make an appearance to fight a Shadowmancer and soldiers together. We take them out one by one until the room is cleared out. Clay activates the huge lift in the middle of the room for us three to go to the top of the tower. The group runs up a couple flights of ridiculously dangerous stairs and continues to fight off hordes of Arkeum soldiers. Once we get to the top, we witness the Shadowmancers trying to capture the Gigantrite, our epic flying whale taxi. If they can obtain its power, then the Arkeum hopes to amplify the nightmares in the darkness. Thankfully, we quickly take down the Shadowmancers and protect our friendly whale from their wrath. Sophia actually tells us why the heck she is even at the tower with us to begin with. Apparently, she needs reinforcements at the Shattered Temple, which is where magical energy from the missing Resistance members has been detected. For saving him, Gigantrite personally takes Sophia and our hero to the Shattered Temple. We arrive at the temple and we are greeted by all of our terrific trio friends. We are given a rundown of the dire situation.
We came here first because it was an emergency. He won't take long, though.
We have to go in now. I can handle them.
Think before you speak. Look at the number of our enemies.
Henson, the Arkeum soldiers seem determined to protect the temple with their lives. Maybe they are hiding something important in there.
Maybe it's a soul stone?
That must be it. Immorti must be under their control because they're using the Soul Stones. Our duty is to retrieve the Soul Stone within that Shattered Temple. Charge ahead and make sure you protect the mages.
As we trek around the grounds, Burge, the Nightmare Herald that has been creating these dark nightmares, makes himself known. Then he runs off, presumably to keep an eye on his victims. Apparently, Burge has been using the missing people to gather the Star Fragment's power. At this point, everyone is hurt, so our hero must continue the mission and find the missing Resistance members before Burge does anything too crazy. The only other person not injured is Clay. So he goes into a portal with us to find the missing people and Burge. We trek deeper into the portal realm and find Burge standing with soldiers.
Oh, Star Fragment rolling right into my arc. Oh, how
Clay and our hero give it everything they have to take him down. This is personal. Their friends are being drained for power. He doesn't make it easy for us. We are getting blasted with everything you could imagine. But finally, the teamwork pays off, and we defeat Burge. His defeat instantly frees his victims from his trance. Yay! Clay then opens a portal and tells everyone to run through it as quickly as possible. Only a few make it through the portal before another portal appears, though. A mega monstrous evil comes through it. It's Khazar. He blasts force at all of the remaining victims, and our portal closes. He then starts absorbing everyone's power right out of their bodies. Clay, mustering up his last bit of strength, opens up another portal, all while holding Khazar back with a force field. He tells our hero to leave right away, but we can't possibly leave a friend behind. We lunge towards Clay to show we stand with him and will fight alongside him. But he doesn't want our help. He truly wants to see us safe. So he stops holding back Khazar, and in one swift motion, he blasts us through the portal to safety. And just like that, Khazar absorbs Clay's power and the portal closes.
Clay, searching, standing by, danger, standing by.
At the end of this final chapter, we go back to the tower and enter one last infinity wheel. This vision ties together the major threads of the Throne and Liberty story. We journey across Silesium, witnessing the epic battles fought throughout the land. The vision reveals the ultimate prize at the heart of this conflict, the Star of Sileveth, a mana stone that houses absolute power. We see the Arkeum Legion, led by the ruthless Khazar, searching for hidden fragments of the star. Khazar enlists Calanthea to help find the hidden fragments, and we witness the power of these star fragments in action. With the fragments in hand, Calanthea uses their energy. The fragments awaken scores of the dead in northern Laslan, creating a terrifying army. But all is not lost. We see the resistance led by Da Vinci managing to stop this undead attack. Yet, the vision reminds us that this victory is just a small part of the larger conflict. The Arkeum Legion's power extends far beyond this single battle. The vision concludes with a sobering reminder of the stakes, as most of Silesium remains under the shadow of the Arkeum Legion. This vision effectively summarizes the major conflicts and powers at play in the world of Throne and Liberty, leaving us eager to see how our protagonist will navigate these dangers and potentially tip the balance in favor of the Resistance in future content.
For eons, countless wars have been fought throughout Silesium to acquire the Star of Sileveth, a mana stone of immense power. Commander Khazar's Arkeum Legion arrived in Laslan to find the treasure. Khazar then tasked Calanthea to find the hidden Star of Sileveth fragments. With the ones she found, she used their power to awaken scores of the dead in northern Laslan. The Resistance, led by Commander Da Vinci, barely managed to stop their attack, which was only a fraction of the Arkeum Legion's might. Even now, most of Silesium remains trapped within Arkeum's shadow.
And that's a wrap on the complete story of Throne and Liberty so far. From saving children from the clutches of evil to forging friendships with the terrific trio, it has been quite the ride. If you enjoyed this story breakdown, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe if you loved it, and let me know in the comments what you loved or hated about Throne and Liberty's story. I'll see you on the next one, friends.